My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to Rimworld and the Ice Sheet with our now solitary colonist, Cobra, who is just taking a few moments to admire some artwork here, taking a respite from his recent efforts, getting this mountain base set up and his bedroom floor all smoothed out. Now at the end of the last episode we did have a colonist crash on the Ice Sheet here. Here's Preston. She is from an enemy tribe, and as we can see it's very likely that she will not survive much longer out here on the Ice Sheet, so when she does expire we shall haul her corpse into our little stockpiles room here to the right, and she will help keep us fed and clothed for a little bit longer. Now if you cast your mind back as well to the previous episode, at one point we did have 3 colonists, we are now back down to 1. You may remember Itamu, who joined us briefly, but we struggled to keep her mood in check, and at times she was a bit more of a hindrance than a help to Cobra, so Cobra took an extreme step and he shot her and disposed of her. We also had another colonist whose name I have since forgotten, who did join us, but sadly they did die from an infection from their wounds. So yes, we're back to just Cobra, which is a lot easier to manage in some respects. Oh, Gumpy, that's a colonist name, it's right there, look. Never mind. But yes, so yeah, it's back to just Cobra, but that's okay. He's more than capable of surviving out here by himself, and without having people around who he doesn't get on with, like Itamu, his mood seems to be doing a lot better, as we can see here. Okay, so Preston has expired as expected. We also have a seal on the Ice Sheet, which we definitely want to go and hunt down at some point in the near future. In fact, we may as well take care of that now. So let's send Cobra out, and we'll take care of the seal first of all. Where is it going? It says it's just moving, so hopefully it's not fleeing the map. Although it does look like it's making a beeline for the end of the map here, so it may be on its way out. However, if we attack it, it should reset its priority. If we hit it as well, that would make this a lot better. There we go, that's 1 hit landed. There we go, so that's the seal taken care of, so we'll allow access to that corpse, and we may as well haul it back while we're nearby. And then we'll make another trip out and recover Preston's corpse and bring it back as well. In terms of plans for this episode, I do still want to get some defences set up. We have a basic defence set up, nothing more than a steel wall with steel doors. But in terms of offensive defence, if that makes sense, we don't really have anything apart from Cobra's auto pistol. So we are going to want to have some steel deadfall traps set up. And I think we will have them arranged along this wall here. No, we'll go for this one here. We'll go for the shorter wall. So what we'll do, we'll plan this out now. So we want spike traps, steel, yes. And we're going to put 1 there and 1 there. And we'll also put 1 there and 1 there. And what we're also going to do is just encase them just a little bit with some steel walls, just to funnel the enemies through the traps. And we'll extend that all the way up, even though we're not going to use it all that way for the time being in terms of trapping it. And we also want to then deconstruct this section of wall, so eventually any raiders and wild animals will have to traverse this trapped corridor to access our base. Meanwhile, Cobra can use the steel doors to safely pass through, because there is the very small chance that your colonists will trip their own traps, and without anybody on hand to rescue Cobra, that would be an absolute death sentence. While we're in the deconstruction phase, we may as well actually get rid of some of this here. We'll keep the shelter here for the time being, but this old stockpile will be deconstructed. That'll help just keep our steel supplies topped up just a little. Okay, so Cobra's off to bed. It's 10 o'clock, that's fine, so we'll pick it back up in the next morning when he has had a good night's sleep, hopefully. Okay, so as we can see here, while we were asleep, a 71-year-old scout named Margarita Barry is asking for help. Now, she will join the colonists. Sorry, she will join the colony and become a colonist, that's right. But in exchange, we will suffer a psychic suppression for 6.4 days, which will reduce the consciousness of all the male colonists. Obviously, that would include Cobra, but not Barry herself. Now, there's no way to see Barry's traits or skills before she joins, so it really is pot luck as to whether Barry will be somebody worthwhile having. Now, obviously, 6.4 days of psychic suppression is only temporary. However, for those 6.4 days, Cobra will move and work a lot slower than normal. So, is that something we want to do? I'm going to say probably not at this stage. Not without knowing exactly what colonists we were getting anyway, in terms of stats and social ability and their ideology. Bearing in mind, our colonists do have to survive on a diet of human meat. So with that quest declined, Cobra heads back out to work on our little defensive structure there. It's probably worthwhile grabbing a bite to eat while we are here. We are fairly hungry, and while we're in the vicinity it just makes sense to have a little snack. It doesn't fill our food bar completely, but it's enough to keep us going for most of the day. So you can see this corridor taking shape here. We'll probably put a few other access doors a little further along so we can add more traps that can be accessed without crossing the other traps. That way they can all be reset and rebuilt when they are triggered. And it also keeps Cobra safe because, as we said just a moment ago, it means he doesn't have to cross the existing traps. And as we know, that does carry a small but very real risk of triggering the trap. So we're burning through our steel reserves here, although we do still have a fair few piles. The more I look, the more I see, so we're not really in any danger of running out anytime soon. Okay, there we go. So the 4 traps will give us some decent levels of protection. And a lot of what we've just built can be offset with all this steel here from this structure that we're just deconstructing now. So we don't have much food available, or do have a few corpses, so I think we'll go ahead and do a little bit of butchery. We do have plenty of human leather which we can use for crafting purposes. So if we do need to make some new clothes in the near future, we have plenty of options available. That's our former colonist Gumpy, now turned into leather and meat. Not the most dignified end, and it was a shame he did pass away. I would have liked to have kept him alive, but there we are. Okay, I think it's time for a bite to eat, and then we'll send Cobra off to sleep. Hopefully we'll have another trade caravan soon to get rid of some of this tainted gear that has been removed from the corpses that we've just butchered. Okay, so Cobra's awake in the early hours. No, he's not. He's awake at 10 o'clock. I misread that completely. I think I must have looked at the temperature and thought it was the time. That was a bit of a silly thing to do. So, after a little bit of research, what we'll do, we'll head out and haul Preston's corpse back to our stockpile. Obviously, there is a danger these... Well, these spellopedes, yes they are. The spellopede could decide to consume Preston's corpse, and we don't want that. We like that corpse for ourselves. Now, there's a very real possibility that this spellopede will get aggroed if we pass nearby. So we do want to be quite cautious here. Although we seem to be okay so far. Let's see if we can make it back. Yes, we'll get the spellopede a wide berth, and all is good. Okay, so that's the corpse now hauled back. We'll have another bite to eat. Our recreation bar is also very low, so I think we'll allow some time for some downtime. A bit of dexterity play on the hoopstone ring there. Not sure what we just ate, but it didn't do much for our hunger bar. So we are going to have another small meal after we finish this game of hoopstone. And once that's done, we'll haul this back to our stockpile And I think we'll head off to sleep for yet another night on the ice sheet. Okay, so that's all the clothing now removed from the floor and into the stockpile zone. I did mention as well we want to get these stone cutting workbenches brought down to our new base. We do have a fairly full stockpile of chunks outside which we can use for granite blocks. And in turn we can use the granite blocks for walls and defences or for artwork around the base to help Cobra's mood. Although on the look of it, Cobra's mood isn't doing too badly at the moment, so that's not desperately urgent. Even so, it's probably worthwhile that we go ahead and get it hauled down here anyway, so what we'll do, we'll mine out a little workshop just next to our stockpile zone here. That way Cobra's not having to travel too far to pick up the next chunk to be converted into bricks. So we'll allow him to do a little bit of research. The more we do, the better. It gets us through our research projects that little bit quicker, obviously, or a little bit sooner. And then, yes, we shall now do the mining order. We're going to want a door on the entrance here. So we'll put a door down there. I think it's probably also worthwhile to put a door through from our base to the stockpile zone, and from the stockpile zone to the workshop as well. The advantage to this is now that Cobra doesn't have to go outside every time to access his stockpile zone. Okay, so we've got some tattered apparel. Let's have a look what it is that's dragging his mood down there. It looks like the scarf and the apron are the culprits here. And I don't think we can craft anything to replace those. Let's put down a crafting spot and see what we could craft, if anything, to replace those little bits of tattered apparel. Would a poncho replace the scarf? I'm not sure. But I think we'll craft a human leather poncho anyway. Just cancel that last little bit of mining there. There's no need to mine it all out like that. There we go. Just get all this rock rubble cleaned up. May as well do the last of it. There isn't much there, although I can't click that last cell for some reason. Well, that's okay. Get the chunks hauled out. Okay, he's going to bed. We'll do that tomorrow, then we'll handle the chunks tomorrow. What's going off out here? We have a snow hedge just outside the base. The spellipede is still lurking nearby as well. Up to the north we have another seal and another snow hare. And that looks like it for the local fauna. Oh, there's another snow hare as well, so a bit of a snow hare invasion today. As usual, I'll probably not bother hunting the snow hares down. The resources that they drop and they provide aren't great in number, and it is questionable whether it's worthwhile, especially when we have such a decent supply of corpses already. But we do want to take advantage and grab the seal for sure. So let's head out to the north. We'll grab the seal. Okay, so that's the seal taken care of. It'd be foolish to overlook a seal. They do provide a decent amount of meat and levers. So let's haul the seal back. We'll leave the snow hares to their business as discussed. And the spellipede, we'll give it a wide berth. We probably could be able to take it down, but it's not worth the risk really. The insect meat would be nigh on useless apart from in an emergency. Okay, so we brought the snail back and had a little snack, although that has caused us to contract food poisoning, which isn't great. So we're back to the perpetual vomiting now. In the meantime, we may as well reinstall the art bench in our new little workshop that we just excavated, along with the stone cutter's bench as well. And we'll bring the 2 stools down here as well. So all this might take a while because of the slow movement speed and the constant stopping to vomit. Fortunately, there isn't anything else that pressing that we really want to take care of. Okay, as I say that, we have a raid appear on the map. This is a group of pirates from the Rhino Men. Okay, they use the word group quite deliberately there. It's just the one who is affected by severe necrosis. Well, they're not in the best of health. 88 years old and out on a raid. I don't know if to applaud that or shake my head at the stupidity, but here she is, Larissa. a very elderly raider who suffers from severe necrosis and is also becoming sepsis as well. Not sure she's much of a threat, but fair play to her for giving it a go. Obviously, if she does come, I imagine she'd path around this way, and our little trapped corridor will surely finish her off if her own ailments don't end in the first place. Let's see what happens here, shall we? So it looks like she's making a beeline for this entrance here, because it is classed as open, so she will opt to use this way, which is great. She's feeling stressed. It's about to get a whole lot worse, I'm afraid, Larissa. Fantastically, she managed to avoid triggering any of the traps. That I did not expect, so unfortunately, Cobra, you're going to have to get yourself out of bed and deal with this manually. She set our workbench on fire, which is very frustrating. She's a tough old girl. Oh, no, she's not. She's just gone down. Okay, we can't extinguish that fire because it's not in our home area. So let's quickly zone that as a home area now. And then Cobra can go ahead and extinguish the fire quickly before we lose the Stonecutter stable. Although we've got a decent amount of time yet, as we can see there from its hit points. There we go. We'll also strip Larissa. Some of her clothing might come in useful, and we shall leave her to succumb to the elements or her own necrosis and sepsis, whichever comes first. Although she decided to get back up, so fair play. You just cannot keep this woman down. I must admire her bravery and her resilience to still get up after what she's been through. Oh, she's back down again. I don't think this time she'll be getting back up. As we can see, she's bleeding out in 5 hours. Minor hypothermia, major blood loss, moderate sepsis, as well as the necrosis as well. So Cobra's just going to leave her to her fate while he heads off to sleep, so we'll wait for him to wake up and then we'll just get everything hauled back down to our new little base in the mountainside. Okay, so we'll just wake Cobra up from his sleep. It is early evening. Do a little bit of cleaning, get this vomit up, and then add a little bit more just for good measure. Quick bite to eat. Luckily we didn't make our food poisoning any worse there. So Cobra's just going to take 5 minutes now to relax. And then we'll get everything finalised in our little workshop, as well as all of these goodies brought back as well, including Larissa's corpse. Our food poisoning now has abated somewhat, and it's now only a minor inconvenience for us, as we can see. So in the next 6 to 12 hours we should be fully healed from the food poisoning. Let's just get all these items of clothing, silver and weapons brought down, because some of them will deteriorate in the elements. There we go, and while we're doing it we may as well grab... No, we don't want to consume her, we want to haul Larissa. So let's haul Larissa back now. And it's 4 AM in the morning, so it's probably worthwhile getting a few hours sleep. And then we shall see what today brings. I was going to say tomorrow, but it's already today. So the food poisoning has now subsided. We've had another human meat breakfast, thankfully avoiding any sort of food poisoning once again. But as we can see, we've now consumed the last of our meat on hand. So we are going to have to do some more butchery today. I also wanted to craft a human leather poncho. So let's prioritise that. And then once that's done, we'll do a bit more butchery. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 human corpses and the seal carcass still to butcher up. We do have a little bit of food left, 24 units there. Didn't see that. Well, there we go, that's the poncho created. We've also reached level 10 in intellectual, And in case you missed it, we did hit level 4 in crafting as well. So the things we craft are now going to be slightly higher quality, which is always good. And given that we only have a few corpses left on hand, we may as well butcher all of them now. It has been pointed out in the comments, and I am acutely aware of this, that yes, the lack of a butcher's table is severely hindering us at the moment because we aren't getting full bang for our buck when it comes to butchery in terms of meat and leathers. However, given the fact we have no wood, unfortunately there's not much I can do about that. We need to wait for a trade caravan to pass by. Hopefully we'll have one in the near future. Let's just get all this clothing and stuff hauled into the stockpile zone as well. There we go, so that's everything now butchered up and dropped off to its appropriate location. So we'll do a little bit of hoopstone again just before we head off to bed. And then we can see what the next day brings Cobra out here on the ice sheet. Okay, so the day starts with a large jade meteorite crashing down within our compound. So that's something we want to mine out pretty quickly because we can sell that to a passing trade caravan and hopefully use it to buy some wood. So let's flag the whole meteorite for mining. So that's 19 tiles of jade we're going to pick up, which is quite a lot. And it should boost our, well, it will boost our little currency situation. We do have a fair bit of silver. We have 486 units of silver there. I don't think there's any loose silver lying around. But obviously we may as well grab the jade and sell it as well. It's not doing anybody any good just sat out on the ice sheet, so we will mine it, and as soon as a travelling trade caravan does pass through, we'll see if they will take the jade off our hands and hopefully exchange it for some wood. Getting some wood would be getting some wood would be a game changer just for the butcher's table alone at this point. So that's half of the meteorite already mined out thanks to Cobra's high mining skill. And as you can see, we've got several full chunks of jade now available. I think we might end up filling our stockpile zone here. We absolutely, in fact we definitely will. So we're going to want to expand that once again. And like we did before, we'll try and get rid of the tainted clothing to a passing trade caravan when one does visit. So that's the meteorite almost entirely mined up. We've got plenty of jade on hand, perhaps a little bit too much because we're running out of space. Let's go, in fact, before you go to sleep, have a little bit to eat. You don't want to become malnourished overnight because that's going to give you a really poor mood when you wake up. Okay, so overnight, over the early hours of the morning, we've had an animal transport pod crash on the ice sheet. This is a munchkin cat named Mammy or Mamie. Not going to rush out to slaughter the cat. They don't provide a lot of meat, and we're certainly not going to rescue it. Where is it landing? Where's the spellopede? I wonder if the spellopede's going to go and consume that. I imagine they would. Let's have a look here. Yeah, 28 units of meat, 17 units of leather. And that's with a butcher's table, so with our butcher spot on the floor, it's going to be a little bit lower than that, so I think we'll just leave the cat and the spellopede can have a little snack. Okay, so we've expanded the stockpile zone as we can see now. That should give us enough room to haul the last of the jade down once it's been mined out and the few chunks that are waiting out on the ice sheet. Fortunately, it's not going to deteriorate out on the ice sheet, so we don't have to focus on getting it back in the immediate future. We can leave it for the time being. Looks like Cobra's opted to go and dig out the last of the meteorite now. There we go. So that's all the jade now mined. We'll haul some of it back as we can see. And just for cleanliness sake, I'm going to get rid of some of this rock wobble that's in our stockpile room there. So back to the research benches for the evening for Cobra. We're almost halfway through researching basic autopsy. Obviously we have no corpses to perform an autopsy on at this point. But if we did, we could then harvest their organs and sell them to a trade caravan who would be willing to buy them. Not all of them are. And they can net you a decent profit as well. And I've got to imagine, although I can't say for certain, but if we were to do some more autopsy work, it would boost our medical skill. At least it would make sense if it did. I assume it will. But for now, Cobra's back off to sleep. So we'll leave him to sleep and see if Randy Random throws anything at us overnight once again. A trade caravan would be welcome at this point, just to get rid of some of the junk that we have stockpiled here. Just get Cobra's recreation bar filled up a little bit there after breakfast. Nothing happened overnight. So I think we're just going to finish off cleaning up the rock rubble in here. It'll just help boost the mood rating a little bit, or the room's rating, which helps boost our mood. Just get my words out properly, that'd be great. Also set up a billet of the steel stone cutters table here, just to make granite blocks forever, and just dump them on the floor. However, I think Cobra is correct. Research does take priority at this point. However, having a pea in a puddle of your own pea can't be pleasant, so we'll get that cleaned up. Nothing of note on the map now. Just the spelipede and one snow hare left. As we can see, the cat Mammy has expired. But as I said, we're just going to leave that for the spelipede, I think, because we're not going to get enough from it, really. And if we can get some research and some base work done, that's although we don't have a great deal of food left, so since it's there, we may as well grab it. We're not going to have to hunt it down or anything. So let's haul a cat. What do we have here? A planet-bound shuttle is crashing nearby. They can be rescued, so let's see whereabouts they're going to crash. Here we go. Okay, so we can forget the cat because we have quite a few corpses raining down from the sky. So we have 3 dead, Q, Maverick and Robles. 2 survivors, Wall, who is a healer. Very good medical skill and artistic skill, decent in construction and plants. We also have Eva, who is a good shooter, artistic and intellectual, interestingly. Let's have a look at their biographies. So, psychically dull, trigger happy and jogger is always a good trait there, Marshall. We have creepy breathing and slowpoke. I'm gonna go ahead and take a guess and say none of their ideologies permit cannibalism. Not really. So keeping them alive at present wouldn't be the easiest task, because they'd have to survive on human meat, and as we saw with Itamu, that can do bad things for a person who isn't a cannibal. So I think we're not gonna rescue them. We'll let them expire, and then we'll get them all hauled back to the stockpile, and that's just boosted our meat supply very nicely. How long till they do pass? Marshall has 17 hours, Wall has 4 hours. Let's go and speed this up. We'll send Cobra out, we'll put them out of their misery, and then we can get them hauled back. The last thing we want is them to wander off the map. In fact, Eva has a bit of decent gear there, so let's strip Eva of their clothing. That'll come in handy. And then we'll put them out of their misery. There we go. So get everything hauled back urgently. We have a major break risk with Cobra. I'm not sure what the problem is, or the major problem. We're just very hungry. Okay, well, we can take care of that when we get back to base. So we've got a group of coyotes passing on through. Looks like we're not going to get a chance to hunt them, because they're going to go straight through the cave network and out. That's fine. We also have a bumble drone migration. I'm going to take a guess that the bumble drones are hopelessly lost. One has passed on due to the spike trap, so they do work, even if the last raider did manage to avoid triggering any of them. So it's rise and shine once again for Cobra at 9 o'clock in the morning, so we'll give him a little human meat breakfast before sending him out to haul the other corpses back to the stockpile zone. That's another 4 corpses to go. as well as this items of clothing that Ever had equipped that we removed from them for our own purposes. The Bumbledrone Queen is just lurking around outside the base. We'll leave them to it. I don't believe they will aggro us if we just leave them alone, so yes, we shall leave them to their hovering and their skitting about. Not sure they're going to get much done out on the ice sheet. So Cobra's just taking a quick break from his hauling duties here, just to relax a little bit. We'll also have a bite to eat as well. Just get his mood bolstered as much as possible. What do we have up here? Another snow hare. So we've got the one corpse left, and then the items that were dropped by Wall and Ever. They will want hauling back as well. I think we may as well haul the last corpse back today. We've still got a decent amount of energy available, so let's haul Maverick, and then we'll get the clothing and anything else that has been dropped tomorrow morning. While it is deteriorating out here unprotected, it's going to last at least one more night, so we don't need to worry too much about that. So it's off to sleep once again. So while Randy Random is giving us a fair few events in this episode, the one I'm really hoping for, Trade Caravan, hasn't materialised yet. There's still time. Hopefully he'll be able to read our minds and send a Trade Caravan our way so we can get rid of some of this stuff and hopefully get some wood picked up from them. What do we have here? A refugee named Sienna is approaching. We may as well, because as always, what we do with these quests, we can take matters into our own hands and preempt any possible betrayal by taking them out ourselves. Or what we could do is, once Cobra's back in, which he is now, if we have Cobra do something safe inside, well, eat first of all, and then do a bit of research, we can have the Bumbledrone take care of matters for us, and the Bumbledrone can deal with Sienna. Or Sienna can deal with the Bumbledrone. Either way, it's a win for us. Looks like Sienna might need help because the Bumbledrone... Oh no, she didn't. She managed to finish off the Bumbledrone herself, and she's also now bleeding out in 23 hours and has toxic build-up, so she's not going to survive much longer, so it saved Cobra getting his hands dirty, and it also means that there's no chance for Sienna to betray us and attack us, as these quests often lead to. Let's set no medical care here. We don't want to waste the medicine. Instead, we'll send Cobra back to the research bench. Did we get everything hauled back? No, we did not. Let's prioritise hauling all of this. Sienna has gotten infected, which is no real surprise considering the amount of injuries she sustained from the Bumbledrone. So she's got an infected right arm and left shoulder, so things aren't looking good for Sienna. Not that is causing me any sort of concern whatsoever. Yet another infection for Sienna. She's not having a great time with this. Her eye has now become infected as well. I almost want to take pity on Sienna and put her out of her misery. In fact, let's do it. Let's put her out of her misery. There we go. Well, we haven't. She's still alive, but she's gonna pass away in just 2 hours now, so we kinda have, we also kinda haven't. So let's have a small bite to eat before we go off to bed, please, Cobra. You don't want to be starving overnight. There we go. Okay, there we go. Sienna has died. Has that done anything for our mood overall? No. But we did get a mood boost when Wall, who was one of the shuttle crash survivors over here, when he died, we got a mood boost from that, so that's always nice. But that's another corpse to the stockpile anyway. So, a bit of research this morning, as we can see, that's fine. Nothing urgently requires our attention. Although we do need to do a bit more butchery pretty soon. Our food reserves are running a little bit low. Given that we're almost done with our autopsy research and we have quite a few corpses in our stockpile zone, I think what we will do is get a medical bench, if we can build one, and maybe do a bit of autopsy work to get some organs harvested and get them sold off to a caravan if one happens to pass by. Obviously we're still waiting on one this episode. I think we had 2 last time around. So just interrupt the research efforts there for a slight human meat lunch. And as we can see, just in time, we have now finished the research of basic autopsy. So the next project we want to focus on then will be, I think, basic prosthetics. Don't think we've got the space for all these items of clothing and this steel hatch in our stockpile zone. But let's see now if we can build us a, what would it be called, medical autopsy table? Operating table? Let's have a look. We can get a slab bed. Where would it be? Where do we think? Production, maybe. It actually is. 120 steel, we can afford that. So let's go ahead and build one of those. And then we'll see what sort of bills we can put in order here. There we go, just do a little bit of cleaning in here. It's a bit unsightly with all the blood. Bills, okay, so add bill, butcher for organs. There we go. And we'll do this, we'll do it forever, and we'll just manually suspend the work order after the first 1 or 2, I think. So let's prioritise that. Who's first for the butcher's bill? This is Eva. Not sure why we have to use herbal medicine for this, they're already dead. So let's now suspend the bill because we don't want to waste our medicine. But we have given ourselves a fair few organs there. And we'll just consume what's left. So all of this is frozen, as we can see. So they're not going to spoil, so we'll leave them in that room for the trade caravan to pass by whenever they decide to pass by. Could do with one very, very soon just to get rid of a lot of this clutter that we have at the moment. Let's get the fecal sludge hauled away. Don't want that left in the bathroom. What's that? Oh, that's poor and it's tainted, so yeah, leave it outside to perish, it's fine. What we'll do, we'll have a bite to eat, a mid-morning snack, and then we'll head back to the research table, I think. Try and get as much done as we can while things are quiet. Still nothing new on the map that we need to concern ourselves with or be concerned by. Has the spellipede gone? No, it hasn't. There it is, the spellipede's up here. I guess it decided to consume the cat, which is to be expected. We've got enough corpses to keep us sustained for now anyway, so that's fine. So just looking at the research screen here now, we've researched 56% of the Neolithic projects. We need to research 75%, so I'm guessing 3 more, perhaps 4, and then we should be advancing into the medieval era, which will unlock a whole host of research projects for us, including advanced clothing and furniture, which is going to make our life a lot better out here. The clothing especially, it'll give us a use for all this human leather that we've managed to stockpile through our butchery efforts. And it allows us to craft stuff like parkas and insulated hats and the likes, as well as scarves and gloves. So this tattered apparel, we can hopefully soon get rid of it. Unlikely to be in this episode, however, but in the next 2 or 3 we should be able to hit that medieval era. What do we have here? Another raid, and this is from Pact of the Hill. They're attacking immediately, and it is 2 of them. Let's see how these fare against our defences. Obviously the first raid we had at the start of the episode, they just waltzed straight on through. Hopefully these will find them a little bit more tricky to deal with. So Black Human, which is a very menacing name, died, well, didn't die, but they were incapacitated by our first trap. The herbal medicine, we're definitely taking that. And the second raider has just fallen over. They've got inflammation and hypothermia and severe Parkinson's. That's actually quite good for us because these might be pretty well kitted out against the cold, and if they are, we can take their clothing. So let's strip both of them ASAP. There we go, and strip the second one. We'll allow that and that. Let's get all of this hauled back. Okay, it's just going to be awkward. I have to select all one at a time. I'd have thought it would have grouped clothing as one, but clearly not. So there we go, haul urgently. And what we will do is we will turn this into a stockpile zone for clothing, I think. There we go. And storage, clear all, critical priority. And we want... where is it? Apparel, there we go. So Cobra will get everything hauled out as instructed. We've got another 2 corpses to add to our food reserves, which is great. And as you can see, because that stockpile zone up there is flagged as critical priority, Cobra will move everything up there that we have in our existing stockpile zone. So that's going to free up a lot of space. The granite chunk, you could have left it where it was, to be honest. It wasn't in the way, but obviously we are opting to move it, which is fine. Not sure how big that backpack is, Cobra, there, but you've picked up a lot there in one go. And you're still going, my word. Well, that's impressive. As we were doing that, we've got news that the High Stellarch has died. Doesn't really affect us, but it's interesting to keep tabs on that regardless. So we're just hauling the last of the clothing here, and then we'll get the 2 corpses. Okay, there we go. That's the clothing all hauled back. And that's freed up a lot of space down here, as we can see, which is great. So we'll get the 2 corpses. We've still got all this jade out here, but as we said earlier, it's not going to deteriorate, so that's not critical or time sensitive, so we can leave that for now. But we do want to remember it's there if a trade caravan passes by. In the meantime, we have another transport pod crash, and this is Parish. They are suffering from paralytic abasia. We'll accept the quest. They've landed out here. In terms of their gear, they're not very well protected against the cold. Biography wise, they're an undergrounder and they are kind. Pretty nice stats. In terms of cannibalism, nope, they don't like it. So unfortunately, Parish, you wouldn't fit in with our colony as it stands. So you're gonna succumb to hypothermia in a couple of hours time. And while you will join our colony, it will be as a corpse. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll leave Cobra here for another day. We got a research project completed and we've dabbled in organ harvesting. Unfortunately, we've not had a trade caravan pass through yet. Our clothing stockpile is now nice and full. We need to get rid of some of that urgently, and we're still waiting on the wood. Got a few pandas migrating on through. I think we'll probably just leave them. We're pretty good for food at the moment. Although, would their leathers be worth it? I think they might be, actually. Let's have a quick look. So they only move at 3 cells per second, so we can outpace them. And they do drop a lot of meat and leather. Okay. I think we will take the pandas on. I think the entire herd will aggro if we attack one of them. But we do have the traps which should take a few of them down if needed. But I think it's worth the risk for the high meat and leathers that they're about to drop. But we'll do that in the next episode. So we'll leave it paused just so the pandas don't wander off. Yes, we'll leave it here. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, all that remains for me to say is that you take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.